The record's dates are the most important component when building a timeline. Without dates, the timeline will be a simple list of records. Istoriam offers a number of features that are intended to accommodate records with different date characteristics. In this video, we will review how to work with dates. A record dates are set when configuring a record in the Record Management window. They are part of the main subview of that window. Two dates are configured with each record: a start date that specifies when the event associated with the record started, and an end date that specifies when that event ended. The end date can be the same as the start date but cannot be earlier than it. If an end date is specified that is earlier than the start date, the app will automatically modify the date to match the start date. One feature of Istoriam that is intended to ease the work with dates is the end date automation. When you start configuring a new record, its end date is automatically made to match its start date. The main reason for this feature is that most events are a single-day event, and the end date is the same as the start date. Even when the end date is not the same as the start date, it is very often very close to it. Hence, the app will keep the two dates equal until you explicitly modify the end date. At that point, the two dates becomes independent. The end date automation is reactivated anytime the end date is entered earlier than the start date. Both the start and end dates are required with records of type events and heading. However, only the start date is required for the records of type note. With that type of records, the end date fields are deactivated and the end date is always made equal to the start date. Note also that the dates are displayed with the record title for only the records of type event. They are not displayed with the records of type note or heading. The start date is used to define the position of the record in the timeline. The difference between the start date and the end date defines the duration of the event. When the horizontal display mode is used, the duration of the records is presented with an horizontal line, the event length line. No such horizontal line is displayed when the vertical display mode is used. Finally, note that the default configuration will display the dates using the US order, that is, month, then day, then year. You can change that order in the configuration panel. For example, you can change it to the more commonly used international order of day, then month, then year. Beside the dates themselves, you can specify for each date its format. Date format is used to specify the level of details of the record's date. Some events happen at a specific date, for example, February 22, 2024. For others, the dates are less specific, and might have occurred sometimes during a month or during a year. For example, an economic recession might have started sometime in February 2024, with no specific day in that month, and maybe ended sometime in 2024. Hence, three date formats are provided. Month, day, year. The app will display the full date with the record title. This is the default format. Month and year only. The app will display only the month and year with the record title. And finally, only year, in which case the app will display only the year with the record title. Regardless of the date format being used, a full date has to be entered. The full date is used to position the record in the timeline, but only the fields specified by the format will be displayed. For example, if the aforementioned economic recession is entered with the date of February 22, 2024, but with the format month year, the record will be positioned to coincide with February 22 in the timeline, but only February 2024 will be displayed as the record start date. If that same record was defined with a start date of February 25, then the record will be positioned to coincide with the February 25 date in the timeline, and still only February 2024 will be displayed as the record start date. A final feature of record dates is the open-end date. Some events are current and continue to take place, and hence do not have, or do not have yet, a specific or known end date. For example, if you are working on the timeline for some country presidents, it will not be determined yet when is the end date for the current president. Setting that end date to open-end will update the end date to today every time you open the timeline file. When the horizontal display mode is used, the event length line will be drawn with an arrow at the end of the line. This covers the dates features of Istoriam.